Why is the preacher focusing on the election? Well, the newspapers, they're making a lot of money because of this election. People are buying signs. People are buying American flags. People are putting placards out. They are paying money for commercials. There's just a lot of money being spent for the election. And there's an importance to us engaging our society and saying we want justice, we want our rights, we want things to change. And if you truly want things to change, you're going to have to be a part of what I call the political process. I'm going to say it again. You need to be involved in the political process. Why is it that people attempted to thwart our ability to be able to vote on election day? Well, they did it because they wanted power. Whoever is in the political world, political life, whoever is elected to Congress or elected to the city council or mayor or governor or whatever position, whoever is in those positions, they wield a lot of power. It's about power. It's about influence. It's about a whole lot of money. And for black people in 2022 to say, I do not vote because nothing happens when you vote. I'm not voting because nothing has changed in my life since I've tried to vote. Those are ignorant statements, because if you had a chance to sit and talk with elected officials, I had a chance, and I do it all the time, and doing it since I was 14, 15 years old, sitting with the elected officials, Doris Bunte, I was the Bowling family, Mel King, Reverend Michael E. Haynes. I can go on and on and on and talk about all the politicians that I've had the privilege of sitting with and being tutored by. And I need to make sure I put all that information in my book. But the elected officials, I've seen them once they're elected. Why would an elected official, why would a candidate running for office spend millions of dollars to run for an office and chance losing the race? They spend millions of dollars and lose the race. The only reason why elected officials spend all of that money is because they want power, they want influence. And I'm not saying that power and influence is negative. Power and influence, used the right way, could change the quality of our lives. It can change the way that we live. It can change the way that we function in this society. Those who have political power can make laws, they can change laws, they can do things legally that we cannot do when we're in the streets rallying and protesting. If an elected official worked with people in the streets, if they worked hand in hand, it would be easier for the elected officials to create laws that will impact and influence and touch and help the lives of those who are protesting in the streets. But you've got to have the inside game, the elected officials, and the outside game, the activists. 617-282-0685. 617-282-0685. That's our number. And I want to remind you that Tuesday, September 6, 2022 is the preliminary election. It's the state primaries. Now, there are many people, and I've heard it over the years, who say, I will not vote in the preliminary and the primary election. I will only vote in the final election. I'm not going to waste my time voting twice. I'm only going to vote once. If you get me to vote once, you're doing well. What an ignorant statement. Stop being so ignorant. Stop showing that you have no common sense. If we have a state primary, if we have a state final election, I want you to vote in both elections. The beginning, number one, the primary, and two, the final election. Some of you are saying, it's a waste of my time. It's a waste of my time for you to call me to help you with your predicaments, because I use my political influence to influence those decision makers to help you with your problem. I don't solve your problem on my own. I am engaged in the political process. I talk to the elected officials, and they bring about the change that I ask them to bring on your behalf. I'm not doing this on my own. I can't make systemic changes all by myself. I need the elected officials to listen to what I'm saying on your behalf and make the change or make the call or be influential in helping you with your issue. There is a continuity of a person who has an issue in the community, and I don't know why black folk, I'm talking about black folk right now, I don't know why black folk always go to their pastors and say to their pastors, I have this problem and I need it remedied. I have a problem, I need a remedy. I need it resolved. I don't know why people go to the pastors as though the pastors can solve all of these problems. We can't. But working with elected officials and working with the community activists together, we can solve these problems. When is the primary election? It's Tuesday, September 6th. This coming Tuesday. I was driving into the station today, and I was watching and looking at all of the political signs that are up all over the place. It's the last 2 weeks that the politicians go and they decide that they're going to put up all of their signs. Some elected officials put up their signs too early. And if the signs are put up too early, what happens is that sometimes their signs are taken down. Sometimes their signs are ripped down. But I want to say that now that we're coming into the final stretch, the elected officials, the incumbents, and the challengers, they are putting signs up, Mattapan Square, Grove Hall, Nubian Square, Copley Square. Signs are going up all over the city, all over the state. And I see that elected officials and the challengers have been walking up and down the streets and ringing doorbells and asking homeowners if they can put their signs on their property. Signs are everywhere. We have an election. Black folk, we have an election. You will not sit on your couch and watch television and eat popcorn while the rest of us are out in the streets and in the neighborhoods trying to make a difference. You will get off of your rusty dusty, you're going to get up off of your lazy bones, and you're going to go and you're going to vote in this coming election. You don't have to wait until September 6th. We have Vote Early Boston, Saturday, October 27th to Friday, September 2nd is the last time that you can vote in the early voting schedule. The early voting locations are all over the city, and there are early voting in East Boston, in South Boston, in Dorchester, Jamaica Plain, Hyde Park, West Roxbury, Dorchester, in Austin, in Chinatown, in again Charlestown, everywhere in the city. And today is, if I'm correct, it's August 31st, last day in the month of August. I think I got that right. August 31st. And so you can vote at any of these areas. And I think, I'm just trying to make sure, early voting, September 2nd is the last time you can vote early. Now, a lot of the voting spots, a lot of the voting sites that they had, a lot of those sites are no longer accepting people to come in. Right now, between August 29th and September 2nd, the only place you can do the early voting is at Boston City Hall. You've missed the opportunity to do it in your community, but you can still vote early. You can go to Boston City Hall on what's today? Today's Wednesday. So Wednesday, which is today, from 9 to 5, Thursday 9 to 8, and Friday 9 to 5. Again, we had early voting all over the city, in Charlestown, East Boston, South Boston, Dorchester, Jamaica Plain, everywhere you could have gone. But that time has expired. The only place where you can go and vote early is at Boston City Hall, and Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, the last 3 days. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, last 3 days that you can vote early. 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. on today, Boston City Hall. 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. Thursday, Boston City Hall. 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Friday, Boston City Hall. Now, yesterday, Pastor Hobbs and I had a great time talking with you about the candidates who are running for office. And we tried to make sure we shared with you that the primary election is supposed to be the time when all the candidates who are running for office, whether they be Democrats, Republicans, or independents, whatever their party is, and it's all whittled down to 2 candidates for the final election. So if you have 10 running in the primary, they sort out all of the 10 in the primary election, the first one, and they whittle it down to 2 candidates, only 2. But surprise, surprise, as Pastor Walker says, surprise, surprise, in this year's election, we have a number of elections that will be decided in the primary. Why? Because there are no either Democrat or Republican candidates challenging the candidate in the primary. So if you only have Democrats running in the primary and no Republicans at all, then that means that the Democrat who wins the primary will win the final election. And so we have the race for governor, we have the race for lieutenant governor, we have the race for attorney general, we have the race for secretary of state, we have the race for treasurer, we have the race for auditor, we have the race for state representatives in Congress, we have the race for a senator in the general court, we have the race for representatives in the general court. We have all of these races with hundreds of candidates running. If politicians or politics was what some of you say it is, why are over 100, 200 people running for office? Why are they spending thousands and millions of dollars? Because they understand the power that they will have if they win the race. And the reasons why I stay close to these elected officials is that I can't help you with your issues or your problems all by myself. I need the elected officials to say, Bruce, I will help you with this person's concern. Now, if you pick up the phone and you call an elected official and say that my taxes are too high, I need help. If you say they're not picking up my trash, I need help. If you say I need a bill passed, the first thing they're going to do is look to see if you voted for them. If you did not vote for them, if you live in their district and you did not vote for them, chances are they may not work as hard for you, if they work for you at all, as they work for a person who's a super voter, a person who votes all the time. You are no threat to an elected official if you're not voting. Let me say it again. You are no threat to an elected official if you're not voting. If you do not vote, you cannot move an elected official to do what you want them to do. They may do it, but if you're not a voter, chances are they're going to spend their time working on behalf of the people who put them in office, working on behalf of the people who support them financially. Stop with these ignorant, childish comments that all politics is dirty, so therefore I'm not going to participate in the political process. That statement is erroneous. You can, if you have a politician and you suspect that that politician is not representing you, but is always representing those people who are corrupt and come to them and try to bribe them, then vote that person out of office by voting for somebody else. Get that person out of office. You can do it. Well, Bruce, my one vote cannot make a difference. Yes, your one vote can make a difference. Julia Mejia won her election by one vote. I thank God that we experienced that with her, because she proved the point that we're trying to make. That you can win by one vote. It was probably my vote that helped Julia Mejia to win office. It's time for us. I'm going to say it again. It's time for us to change our minds and change our attitudes. If you do not vote in these elections, you're going to find yourself unable to purchase housing or to rent housing or to purchase a condo in the city of Boston, because gentrification is true, folk, and elected officials can help slow the process down. They can't stop it, but they can slow it down. They might even be able to help you find an apartment by putting their name on a document saying that you're reliable. But if the only people you know are pastors to help you with your problems, or elected officials to help you with your issues, the elected officials and the community activists also partner with elected officials to help you with your concerns. And so we have a second Suffolk Senate race coming up. Highly contended. Major race with 5 candidates running. Minion Culpepper, Nika Elugado, James Grant, Liz Miranda, Diane Wilkinson. All 5 of these men and women are running for this office. They want to be the next senator for the 2nd Suffolk District. Now, there are some of you listening to me who are saying, well, I'm not going to vote for them in the primary. You're going to say, some of you are saying, you have convinced me that I should vote for them. I should vote, and I'll wait until the final election, because I'm not going to go to the polls twice. I'm not going to the polls for the primary, and I'm not going to the polls for the final election. That thinking is incorrect. You have to go and vote in the primary if you want to participate in the 2nd Suffolk District race, because there's no Republican running. So there'll be no Republican in the final race, which means whoever wins in the preliminary race, whoever wins on Tuesday, November 8th, that person is going to be the next senator for the 2nd Suffolk District. Minion Culpepper, Nika Elugado, James Grant, Liz Miranda, Diane Wilkinson. That's it. September 6th is the day that you vote for these candidates if you want to be a part of making history. Minion Culpepper, Nika Elugado, James Grant, Liz Miranda, Diane Wilkinson. If you've already made up your mind as to who you are going to vote for or you want to vote for in this election, you can give me a call at 617-282-0685. 617-282-0685. I wonder how many people are courageous enough to pick up the phone and call and let us know who you're voting for. Have you made up your mind? Have you decided who you are voting for? There are some great candidates running for the 2nd Suffolk District. All of them are great candidates. I know them all. I know them all. I have not endorsed any candidate publicly. I have not endorsed any candidate privately. I know who I'm voting for. but I am not going to publicly endorse any candidate because I do not want any candidate to feel that they cannot come on to this radio and TV station because I'm biased or the station is biased against any candidate. I have not told the broadcasters that they cannot support a candidate of their choice. I have not done that. The candidates, the broadcasters, the people who work at the station, they can make a decision to support and endorse any candidate that they want. That's their business. But as the owner of the radio station, I'm not endorsing or publicly endorsing or privately endorsing any candidate. But I know who I'm voting for. Minyard Culpepper, Nika Aliagato, James Grant, Liz Miranda, Diane Wilkinson, all running to be the 2nd Suffolk District senator. But you know, the race that is now taking center stage, front stage, is the race for the district attorney. And I have been watching this race and studying what's happening for quite some time. We've had both of the candidates who are running for district attorney here in the studio. And let me say this again. Whoever wins, there's only 2 candidates running for district attorney, only 2. Whichever candidate wins in the primary will be the next district attorney. Kevin Hayden, who is the acting district attorney, and Ricardo Arroyo, who is the challenger. Ricardo Arroyo is challenging Kevin Hayden, and Kevin Hayden wants to keep this seat. He was appointed by the governor when Rachel Rollins was appointed by the president to be the Massachusetts Attorney General. And Kevin Hayden and Ricardo Arroyo are fighting head-to-head, neck-to-neck. Both of them want to be the district attorney, and there is controversy now surrounding both of them. I'm not going to walk into it. I'm not going to wade into it. I'm going to be very careful how I talk about it publicly because I have no information other than what the newspapers are writing every single day. Both the Herald and the Globe, both of these newspapers, as well as the national media, have descended on Boston because of the allegations that are being made against or about both of these candidates, Kevin Hayden and Ricardo Arroyo. One of the controversies, one of these candidates is dealing with a quote-unquote sexual scandal, and the other candidate is dealing with a scandal called cover-up. And again, I'm not wading into it. I'm not an attorney. I'm not going to soil either of these candidates. I'm not going to repeat all the things that I've been reading and studying in the papers. But it's kind of dirty. It's nasty, and I wish candidates would focus on the issues and not necessarily the things. Again, it was the newspapers that did the digging and found the information about these 2 candidates. The newspapers. And the reason why the media does something like this is because if the race is slow and boring and people aren't purchasing newspapers or reading newspapers to find out what's happening in the election, the media doesn't make any money. But when there is sensational news that everybody wants to learn about it, everybody wants to read about, then they'll start buying the newspapers, or at least watching on what the newspapers are printing online, and the newspapers will be able to say to the advertisers, we got 80,000 hits on this one story. And so it was the newspapers that did the digging, and that's what they do, and they found the stories, and the stories now are all wrapped around the lives, not just the neck, but the lives of the candidates. And people are picking up newspapers, buying newspapers, or watching the newspapers, reading it online, trying to figure out, was there a cover-up with Kevin Hayden, district attorney, and was there any sexual indiscretion made by Ricardo Arroyo, who is a city councilor. The district attorney race. Now, this is not the only district attorney race, but this is the district attorney race that's in our district. Okay? And so this is the one that we're focusing on, is the one that's actually in our district. There are district attorney races in Berkshire District, Bristol District, Cape and Islands District, Eastern District, Hampton District, Middle District, Norfolk District, Northern District, Northwestern District, Plymouth District, and in the Plymouth District we have a friend of ours, Vashon Hall, who is running in the Plymouth District. Vashon Hall. He's running to be the district attorney in the Plymouth District. Then there's the Suffolk County. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There are 11 district attorney races in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. And some of you might say, well, I'm not going to vote for a district attorney. What can a district attorney do for me? Well, I know of people who have been in serious trouble with the law. And many of us as clergy have actually picked up the phone and called district attorneys and asked them to help us understand what's happened in the life of this person. And we just have monitored what the courts are doing through the district attorney. And it's great to have, if police officers seriously injure somebody in trying to arrest them or shoot them and kill them, sometimes it's our district attorney's office that will conduct the investigation. Sometimes the feds will come in and conduct the investigation. But it's great to have district attorneys who will say to the community, we'll convene a meeting so we can talk with you about what we're doing and what happened in this instance. If you have a district attorney who doesn't feel obligated to the people who put them in power, then you're going to have a district attorney who is just going to do what they feel they can do because they do not believe that those who put them into office can take them out of office. And I want the district attorneys to know that we know how to organize and find another candidate to replace you if you act in a way that is not in the best interest of the community. We also have multiple sheriff's races, but there's one that we're concerned about. And it's the sheriff's race in Suffolk County. Stephen Tompkins, who is the present sheriff, and Sandy Zamore, she is the challenger. She wants to replace Stephen Tompkins. There are two people running for sheriff in Suffolk County. There's no Republican. So whoever wins the race in the preliminary that's coming up on September 6th, whoever wins this race is going to be the sheriff. Whoever wins will be the sheriff. Suffolk County. But there are sheriffs running in other counties. And so, but our focus in Boston is only on Suffolk County. Now let's go to some of the main races, and then we'll finish up with some of these other races, state rep and alike. In the governor's race, there are 4 people running for governor. Strike that. There are 3 people running for governor. There was 4, but 1 dropped out. There are 3 people running for governor. On the Democratic side, we have Maura Healey. She's the former Attorney General. Maura Healey. And on the Republican side, we have Jeff Deal and Chris Doherty. So this race will go to the primary, and then this race will also be in the final election because you have Democrats and Republicans running. So this race will not be determined in the preliminary. It will be determined in the final election. Jeff Deal, Chris Doherty running for governor, Maura Healey running for governor. There are 3 candidates running for governor. Only 1 will win this race. Lieutenant governor, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people running for lieutenant governor. For attorney general, the attorney general's race is one that we're all looking at because there are 4 people running. Now, Andrea Campbell, who was a former city councilor who ran for mayor, she's running as a Democrat. Shannon Reardon uh, is it's Riordan is running, and Quentin Palfrey is running for the Attorney General's seat. These are all Democrats. There is James McMahon the third. He's running, and he's hoping that he is going to be the Attorney General. He's a Republican. We have Secretary of State, highly contested, William Galvin, who is the Secretary of State, the incumbent, and Tanisha Sullivan, who is the challenger on the Democratic side. Rayla Campbell is running for Secretary of State on the Republican side. This race will be determined by the final outcome in November, on November 8th. And this race is going to be important because the preliminary will determine which Democrat, William Galvin, Tanisha Sullivan, will end up in the final election running against Rayla Campbell. She is the Republican. And Tanisha Sullivan won she won the Democratic nomination at the Democratic convention, and she is really progressive. She's a bright bulb. She's new on this political scene. She is the president of the Boston branch of the NAACP. She's still serving in that capacity. William Galvin has been in his office for 10, 20, maybe 30 years, 3 decades, and Tanisha wants to replace him. And this race is being looked at by leaders across the country because secretaries of states in some states will be, or have been saying that they are going to affect and impact the outcome of elections. They're going to scrutinize the elections like never before. And we may see some people who won the election according to the votes of the people in the state or in the community, but the Secretary of State might change the outcome of the vote because that's what they can do if they have a recount, a second recount, a third recount, or they throw out a whole lot of names. Secretaries of States are vowing to be intricately involved in the elections, and again, some of them are even predicting that they can change the outcome of elections. So, Secretary of State, in my opinion, is an extremely important race. And when we look at the Democratic ticket, William Galvin and Tanisha Sullivan, I hope the best person's going to win. That's about all I can say about that. But we need a breath of fresh air in the Secretary of State's office. We have treasurer, we have auditor, and there is another race, my last one I think I want to look at. And again, the only reason why I'm repeating myself every day and looking at these races, because repetition is a form of learning. And if we keep speaking about this, if we keep talking about it, maybe we might be able to influence you to say, enough already. Maybe, just maybe, you will go and vote to shut me up. I'm hoping that you are going to make a difference in your state and in your city. Now, the 5th Suffolk District. We have 3 candidates. Danielson Tavares, Althea Garrison, Christopher Worrell. These are the 3 people who are running. There's no Republican candidate. This race will be determined by the final election. Althea Garrison, Danielson Tavares, Christopher Worrell. 3 candidates that are running for this position. You've got to make a decision as to which one you want. Let me say that Danielson Tavares and Christopher Worrell has been here at the station. We have interviewed them. We have not interviewed Althea Garrison. She has not responded to any requests from the station. 6th Suffolk District, we have Russell Holmes, who's an incumbent, and Harris Hassan Hadaway, who is challenging Russell Holmes. That race will be determined by the preliminary. There's no Republican challenger. China Tyler is running. She has no opposition at all. There's no Democratic opposition. There's no Republican. She will be the 7th Suffolk District State Rep. And there's John Santiago. He doesn't have a challenger. I can just keep reading. And Brandy Fluker Oakley will win this race, the 12th Suffolk District, no challenger. Daniel Hunt, no challenger. Robert Consalvo, no challenger. So there are virtually no challenges on the Republican side, with no nominees for the state rep positions in Suffolk County. The 5th Suffolk County, the 6th, the 7th, the 8th, the 9th, the 10th, the 11th, the 12th, the 13th. I can just go all the way up to the 2nd, the 1st, the 3rd. There are no Republican challenges. And so whoever wins in the primary election will take this office, will take this seat. Again, I hope that you're listening. I'm going to stay on this for the rest of the week. We have 2 more days. I'm believing that Mamleo would probably pick this up on Saturday. Sunday, we might do something on Sunday night. I want you to know that we're having election night coverage. We're going to have election night coverage starting at, I believe, 8:30 or 9 o'clock. We're working on the time. We'll announce the time. But we're going to have election coverage. So we're going to be here behind the microphones, letting you know what the numbers are, letting you know who we may even forecast who's going to win based on what the numbers look like. And you can stay with us throughout the night. We want to stay here until we actually get a victory in some of these major elections. Stay with us on Tuesday night, September 6th, starting at either 8:30 or 9. We'll announce it hopefully by tomorrow as to what the time will be. But we will be in the studio. We're going to have a number of guests. Some of the guests will be at the candidates' offices or at their campaign strongholds or campaign headquarters, and they'll be calling in and announcing what the numbers are. If there are some victories, early victories, we want to find a way to speak to these candidates. We'll air some of the acceptance speeches, or we'll air some of the candidates acknowledging that they lost their concession speech. But we will cover this election on this coming Tuesday, and we're hoping that you will be with us. Maybe you might want to be a cub reporter. You might want to be able to go to the headquarters of the candidate that you're supporting and report into the station from the headquarters. You just pick up your phone, you call the station, you tell us what's happening, and you become a reporter or the reporter on behalf of the station from your candidate's campaign headquarters. That's going to be, we'll deputize you. We'll ask you to raise your right hand, and we'll swear you in to be a cub reporter with Boston Black News, Boston Press Radio, and TV. But again, we're looking forward to a very robust election. We're looking forward to an election that's going to stimulate a lot of you to understand that the electoral process has been put in place to create laws, to impact you, impact your quality of your living, and you cannot let these elected officials run for office, win by other people supporting them, and then hurting you, and then you have no access to ask for a remedy, ask for a change, because you did not participate in the political process. I'm Pastor Bruce Wall. I want to say good morning to Tina Lee, who's up early in the morning watching us on social media. And we want to thank those who are listening to us on our radio, as well as Bill Starworth. Good morning to you. Great to have both of you with us on Facebook, listening and watching. And we are going to stay with this. This is the 2022 state primary, and we are focusing on the primary. And as soon as the primary is over, we will start to focus on the final election. I'm Pastor Bruce Wall. I'm your radio, TV, social media, and internet host, and we're looking forward to being with you throughout this election. We're looking forward to helping you understand the issues that are important for us in the community. We'll be back. Stay right there.